Okay, everyone, hello. We're hoping to get started here because many of you have been waiting, bated breath and all that for a little while. So find your seats. Dean's gonna turn down the music he's had playing. He's put together this pretty marvelous set of pictures. Ooh, that's Dean is, I'm sure many of you know, past president of ESLA. He is our newsletter editor. He came up with, has come up with a lot of ideas for financing at higher levels. So you can thank him for that. I was going to say, wow, another big, maybe record turnout. And this is more, that was just prejudging. But based on what I'm hearing, this is just crazy. We've had to dig out some extra chairs, and I hope everyone who needs a chair has found one, because we're about out. I first guessed that maybe, it was the fact that you'd heard that we had 6 cases of shorts compared to 2 last year. That was part of the reason for the turnout. And so thank you to Shorts. They've come through. And the village market came through with wine, 4 big cases. So, do some business there. And I can't overstate this enough, but Ruth Bay and her team of helpers once again have set up just a magical buffet. Thank you so much for all you do, Ruth. Feels like Thanksgiving in June almost, right? We got a lot to tell you about tonight, including later a lawsuit. A first for ESLA. More immediately, I'm told that my legacy depends to some serious degree on getting you all out here by 7 o'clock. So we're going to do our best. Let's start with, we've got 3 board members who will be leaving the board. I'm going to start with the one who's been on longest. Bob Kingan. Bob, where are you? Oh, come on, Bob. Come on, Bob, get in here. We're talking about you. Bob has been on the ESLA board since 98, or was it 97? 98. Is a past president, and for the last 2 years that I've been president has been what I would call my go-to consigliere. And whenever I had a crazy idea, needing a fine-tuning, or just toss it in the trash. Beyond ESLA, Bob led, along with Supervisor Lombardi, whom we recently are honored with ESLA's first President's Award, adoption of policies that have made Milton Township the model among ESLA's 5 local communities, 4 townships in the village, for water protection advocacy. If we are asking anyone else to think of any of the other townships, think about what they can do, all they got to do is look at what's happened in Milton Township. Along the way, Bob has also spent some time as president of Tip of the Mitt Watershed, where his coverage area was much bigger than ESLA's. Not that ESLA is tiny by any means. And yeah, that's about as much. I could keep on going about Bob. He also has tipped me off to some great people for stories back when I had time to write stories for publications. So let's hear it for Bob. And also Karen his wife, who has had to put up with all this foolishness that he has done on ESLA's behalf. Okay, Pat Pierce has been what I'd call, this is not an official title or anything, Keeper of the Buoys since 2017. Specifically, he's the guy whose work helps keep your boats out of the stumps between Skegemog and the Torch River. I've watched Pat nimbly leap from my boat and skitter through swamp up there, and I thought he was going to go in up to his knees, and to retrieve buoys that have broken loose in some of the terrible storms we've had. He has spent a lot of time tinkering too in his workshop to find the perfect improvement to keep the buoys bobbing, and we're all about bobbing. Pat is still going to be helping ESLA, but he's moving to new life adventures. You'll have to ask him what those are. Pat. Dean, what do you want me to do? Oh, you want a shot. Okay, Dean needs to take pictures. Up here. Thank you, Matt, for what you've done for ESLA. Is Kate Lett here? No. Kate Lett, who lives in that hard-to-find ESLA activist area of the south end of Skegemog. Is there anybody else here from the south end of Skegemog? All right. She is leaving us due to some pressing business needs. Kate, I will say, has dramatically improved our Facebook presence and outlined a strategy to a smarter website that we are working on. She promises to be back one day, and it will be to our great advantage when she does. So that's our 3 retiring people, and now we're going to start the rest of the program with Phil, and he's going to come up and talk finances a bit. Or you want to do it from right there? Okay.
Good evening, everybody. 2022 was a very good year fiscally for ESLA. We ended the year with $138,000 in cash and investments, up approximately $26,000 from the year before. So we had $13,000 in our operating account, $37,000 in our we call strategic fund. That's where we isolated our champion pledges into that account, and we had almost $88,000 in Vanguard investment. The income for the year, we took in $55,000 in dues, which was $14,000 higher than the year before. So congratulations to all of you for being so generous. Nancy Schreiber started a new program in 2022 to solicit donations from businesses to help support us in our mission. And she was able to collect $4,350 from some 20 different businesses. So, and it's an ongoing program for this year. As I said, the champions, the individual people that pledge a one-time pledge of $5,000 or $1,000 a year for 5 years, we collected $37,000 in those pledges. And the Grand Traverse Regional Community Foundation, where we keep where our endowment fund is, they give us a grant each year, and this year in 2022 it was $3,150. Our investment in Vanguard suffered. We lost $11,000 there, which basically we gave back everything we earned in the year before. But we're on the mend. We're reaccumulating this year. So far, so good. Our expenses for the year were nothing out of the ordinary, same as they've been every year. We spent a total of $62,000. So we took in 88, spent 62, and that's where our $26,000 increase came from. And all indications are that this current year, 2023, is going to be another good fiscal year. We're at right now, we're at $174,000 in investments in cash. So things are looking good. We're that way, and it's going to come down a little because we took the majority of our dues already, but we haven't spent all the money we're going to spend yet this year. So that number will drop, but we're still going to be way ahead of last year.
Hi, I'm Deanna Seafried. I'm the membership chair. Can you hear me? Okay. A little closer? Oh, there we go. I can hear it. I want to thank all of you. You are really our loyal members. You are the core group of our supporters financially and with attendance at meetings and at events. We had about 100 people RSVP, and which helped us to get name tags ready. And then we had a lot of non-RSVPs come in, but we almost got room for most of you. So thank you for coming. We started some new initiatives this year. We are assisted now by Michael, who's back there taking recording. He is an administrative assistant for us, and we started finally sending out either emails, thank you emails acknowledging your dues, or if we do not have your emails, we then will write a standard letter and thank you. Those standard letters only go out quarterly. So if you, Michael is telling me the next group will go out July 1st. That's what he has to do them in a bulk mailing to make some sense of his time. But if you are not receiving your emails, we really need them because it's way more efficient for us for thank yous and communication. So if you're not getting our emails, reminders about meetings, please check with Michael at the end. We both have our computers or me, and we can quickly put them in there. So that was really important for us to start doing thank you notes or letters to all of you. The other thing we've started to do, we want to set up a system of reminders. Our amount of dues that all of you have paid is up from last year, but we still are missing tons and tons of your neighbors who are not members. For instance, I've gotten some help with Joanne Teague, who has contacted her neighbors on her street, and Mary Chenoweth did her street. But if you are in an association or anything you can do to encourage your neighbors and ask them, are you members? It would really help us. And or just ask them, if you're not getting our emails, can you send us an email and just be more interested in what's going on. So we are going to try to set up a system of reminders. That's not been set up yet for people that have not paid dues. Usually we hope to have all dues paid by the annual meeting, but we're working at that. So it's a process, and I thank you all for coming. That's it. Mary Beth?
All right, I have the pleasure of trying to make sure that this organization is running in the next year. So we have some, closer? Like I always move, I talk with my hand. No, that's not gonna happen. We have some new board members we're very excited to introduce tonight, and actually we need to have you officially vote them in. And due to his great investigative reporting skills, Bob is going to give you background information on those people. Bob?
I don't know that there's any great investigative reporting skills here. But first, Bob McCreary. Bob, can you stand up a sec? Bob has semi-officially joined the board back in our meeting in December, I believe. He has long ties to our lakes and Elk Rapids. He calls Elk Rapids' first blacksmith, one of his great-great-grands, as well as the owner of the passenger steamships that once ran from Elk Rapids to vacation destinies, another great-great-grand. One of those. And he's a fly fisherman and a troller supreme. And Bob is always first to volunteer when there's work to be done. He is our connection with our new relationship that we have with the Elk Rapids Marina on Elk Lake, and doing a marvelous job with that. Again, reaching back to his lifelong connections to various people. Bob Ryder is here as well somewhere. There he is. Some of you may know Bob from, he's been a long-time active volunteer for various environmental projects that ESLA has been involved with. He's been out on my boat with Samantha, our lake biologist, when we were collecting water samples. Bob had the steady hand while I just ran the boat. Critically, by profession, somebody you'd really love to have on the ESLA board, a fisheries biologist. He was recently on the board of the Watershed Center, Grand Traverse Bay, and you may remember Bob's wife, Sue, who is a former ESLA board member. Is Sue here this evening? Okay. He's going to be a special addition. Our third new member is not here tonight. He was not feeling well and did not want to risk.
I'm gonna stand in. He doesn't have COVID. We tested twice.
This is Linda Spevacek. Our new member is her husband, John. And I understand his long-standing ties basically flow directly through you, whose family has been up here for many, many years. John, by profession, is an insurance actuary. He was the leader, closest thing to a singular leader, of the fight to block development of a mobile home park on the upper Torch River that caused some real problems. John also loves to fish. He's, like I said, he told us that he couldn't be here tonight for good reason, and we're hoping he gets better soon. Now, let me make a pitch. This is a good time to do it. Where we need help, and you attending this meeting, we feel are likely to be our strongest supporters. We need a few board members in some areas. We need some volunteers. I'm gonna mention 3 specific areas. Our weakest membership by percentage is along the Rapid and Torch Rivers. Mary Beth, who is in the bayou up there, she can't carry that load forever. So anybody else here from along the Torch River, the bayou, boy, we need your help. And not necessarily to be on the board, although that, we're always looking for that, but just to help spread the good word of ESLA and recruit some members there. The next area would be where Kate lives, the Bags and Hoyles Road area of South Skegemog. Our membership and support also kind of lags there. So if you happen to be from that area, we've reached out to a few people. We are, that would be a huge assist. And then the other area is the southwest Whitewater Township portion of Elk Lake, where Pat lives. Pat's some big shoes that need filling, and we would definitely love to see some more help. Jan Garvey is there, Linda Slopesima is down there, but we could definitely use a third member. So,
Just to tag on to what Bob just said, we encourage you to help. You don't have to be a fisherman. You don't have to like to trudge in the mud. You don't have to know how to boat or anything like that. You just have to care about this area. I mean, I don't fish, I don't trudge in the mud, but I care about this area. So I encourage you to think about maybe coming forward to consider being on the board or helping one of the committees with their work. And it's not all fishing and trudging through the mud. So I encourage you, if you love this area, to consider that. All right, so our 3 board members, I'm just going to ask everyone, all in favor, say aye. Aye. I know there's no opposed, so motion carried. Welcome. And the next bit of our business is just to formalize the officer slate for the coming year. I have Bob Campbell for president. Please stand. I have George Seafried for vice president. He's already standing. Don Bonato has graciously continuing our secretary position. He has the best meeting minutes I have ever read. We have Phil. You can stand if you like. And then Nancy Schreiber's not here. So that's our slate of officers. All in favor? Aye. And of course, no one's opposed. So motion carried. Thank you very much. You will also see on your program the list of board members by their zones. So if you want to reach out to anybody, they're there for you. Thank you.
I figured that the thing you'd want to hear about first is the thing that ESLA has not done in its first 75 years, at least according to those who have some memory of our history. And that is to be involved in a lawsuit. ESLA, the Watershed Center, Grand Traverse Bay, the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians filed in federal court in Grand Rapids on June 7th, a lawsuit against Burnett Foods Incorporated for violations of federal and state law designed to protect our waters. It wasn't something we wanted to do, but it's something we felt we had to do. As a nonprofit association representing dues-paying and other riparians along our shorelines, we are obligated to carry out our stated mission to protect, to preserve the water quality of our lakes and their connecting waters. Burnett Foods Incorporated is an important employer in Elk Rapids and a provider of fruit processing service to our surrounding farming community. For many years, Burnett has violated its permit to discharge its liquid waste by spray and drip onto fields they own, which are adjacent to a wetland that drains to Spencer Creek, that drains to Elk Lake, Spencer Bay. Our lake biologist, Samantha, has documented with photos showing the rust-colored painted foam topped water in the creek near its discharge to Elk Lake. The suit alleges Burnett has violated its permit for exceeding levels of biochemical oxygen demand in its wastewater, a measure of, as reported in the Traverse City Record Eagle, quote, how much oxygen bacteria will consume when breaking down the organic matter in the water, end quote. Such land applications can free up otherwise stable elements in the soil, such as arsenic. Arsenic has been detected in the wetlands we're talking about at a level nearly twice the biochemical oxygen demand allowable in Burnett's permit. I'm going to have Steve, who has a legal background and has sat in all our meetings, to talk a little bit about some of the details that we are seeking.
Well, thank you, Bob. And Bob's worked incredibly hard on this. He's had a challenging job, and the hours he's put in and the care that he has for the lakes and to do the right thing and the reasonable thing have been fantastic. So thank you, Bob. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it. So I got to tell you quickly, this was not a decision, as Bob said, that we reached easily. We did our absolute best to avoid it. We asked to simply be part of the negotiation, not that we participate, but just that we know what the negotiations were and which way it was headed. Because if it was headed in the wrong direction, we wanted to know to be able to react. The answer was no, you can't be. So then we filed a suit and we said, how about we file a suit, you don't have to answer it, we'll just toll the answer. But then as part of this, as now we're parties to it, we can, through discovery, find out what's going on. How about that? No reply at all. And so there are three organizations that are really great organizations, including the tribe. And we kept getting shut down at every corner. And so simply what we asked the judge to do in the suit is to declare that Burnett has been in violation of the Clean Water Act and the Natural Resource Environmental Protection Act, to enjoin them from any further violation of that, to pay our reasonable attorney fees and witness fees, and if a fine is appropriate, to pay a fine, and that could be up to $60,000 a day. It's a serious fine, and then enjoin them from doing any more polluting of the waters. That's where we're at. That's why we filed suit.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. We are aware that Burnett is taking steps to address the issues. What we want is, however, as our attorney Nicholas Leonard, who is with the Great Lakes Environmental Law Center in Detroit, said when he was quoted in the Record Eagle, we want to be included in the conversation about what that solution looks like. We don't want to find out after the fact that this is another effort that doesn't move the ball forward, that we won't have the similar issues a few years down the road. We want the problem fixed now and beyond. As the case progresses, we'll keep you informed. If you want to know more details, send ESLA an email. We'll be happy to provide links to the filing. As far as I know, there has not been a response to this point from Burnett. Two very good stories have been published on this. One in the Traverse City Ticker that was published just 2 days after the filing on June 7th, and a few days later, the Record Eagle had a story as well. And I think when we get through the program, I have had one request that I will honor, from Norm Velikat, who is a longtime ESLA member, I believe, and a cherry processor himself, and a farmer who's with deep roots in this community, wanted to just say a few things, and we will honor that. But now we're going to move on in the program, and I think Jan and Samantha are first up.
Hi, I'm Jan Garvey, and I'm the chair of our Environmental Protection Committee. And next to me is Samantha Ogle, and Samantha has been working with us for 5 summers now on the lake, and she has a BS degree from Western Michigan University in freshwater science and sustainability. So she is our lake biologist, and hopefully you see her out on the water, but a lot of her work is not out on the water, right? The fun stuff is out on the water. So we have way too many things, and really I should say Sam has way too many things going on this summer to talk about them all. I just wanted to mention a couple of our longer term efforts and some of the people involved, and then I'll hand it over to her. So we have been involved in the Adopt a Stream program, and that is with the Watershed Center of Traverse Bay. And it's a program where we're monitoring the streams coming into our lakes. And in addition to Sam, we have Dale Claude Pierre, Ken Krentz, Bob Ryder have all been involved in this program, out there sampling twice a season. So it's a big effort. We've been active in monitoring and treating invasive plant species, in particular purple loosestrife and Eurasian water milfoil, for about 10 years now. And I'm happy to say that we've really made a dent on it, and I'm helping to minimize the amount of material up there that you see on the lake, and Samantha will be out there again this year looking for it. The volunteer lake monitoring program that we participate in with Tip of the Mitt, we've been doing that for a long time. We have data going back to the 90s, and you can find our data on the Tip of the Mitt website. We have people, again, who are out there sampling. Dale Claude Pierre, Dean Ginther, and more recently John Spepasek have been the guys that are out there in the field taking the samples. We have also played an advisory role with Whitewater Township with their park expansion. So there's a capital project at the Whitewater Township Park, and we have been successful in getting them to include a high water pressure boat wash in their project. And this is important because all these boats are coming into our waters, and we want to have them clean when they come in so they aren't bringing more invasive species. The project includes increasing the boat launches from 2 to 4, expanding their parking, and a few other things, and the project will begin in September. Linda Slopsema has led this effort. John Reed has also been key to the success of them including this boat wash in the project. It originally wasn't there. So big thank you to them. And let me have Samantha tell us all about her projects.
Okay, so like Jan said, we have a lot of fun things happening this summer. We actually have over 15 environmental projects that are ongoing. So I'm just gonna briefly run through them, and if you have any questions, we're gonna hang out after, and feel free to chat with us then. So in the water quality department, we've got 3 sampling efforts in the works, one of which is the ongoing sampling and monitoring of Spencer Creek, and then 2 other sections of shorelines there. We started doing a program with NOAA this year called the Phytoplankton Monitoring Network. So I sample twice a month for harmful algal blooms. And then Ken Krentz is gonna touch on, we're doing some plankton sampling for the first time this summer. We were lucky enough to be awarded money from the Clean Boats, Clean Waters grant. So we've purchased some aquatic invasive species signs, and we're gonna get those installed at 3 of the launches around the lakes. We're doing the Baggs Road boat launch, East South Lake Drive, and then the Arwood Trail. or Arwood Drive on the Torch River. They're huge signs, they're 4 feet by 4 feet, and a couple of them are gonna have tools hanging on them so that you can clean your boats and your kayaks and things before you put them in the water. And then, so those should be going up hopefully within the next month. Then this year we're also doing some road end checks with the help of volunteers. So just checking, I have like a short 6-question survey that you can answer or fill out twice a year, just looking for things like erosion and invasive species. So if you live near a road end, you are the perfect person to do this since you see what happens there the most. So if you're willing to fill out a short survey twice a year, please come chat with me. And then we've got 4 boat washing events planned with Tip of the Mitt Watershed Council. We've already had one, and then we have one coming up on July 1st, July 5th, and then August 5th. Those, the times and locations will be on our website, and I think probably, if they're not in an email blast, they will be coming up here soon. And we'll post on Facebook. And then we had one of our Greenbelt workshops this year in May, so that focused specifically on the zone between your water and your house. And then we're in discussion about having a second later this summer. We had 4 contractors come and talk about their specialties in the areas and nurseries. Just another thing that I've been doing this summer, I've gotten called out to look at some concerned algae. One of them was like a bright red, scary looking situation in a jet ski that ended up just being some fungal spores. So if you have anything like that, we're happy to come take a look too. And then, yeah, just what Jan said with the invasive species, purple loosestrife blooms at the end of July into August. Yellow flag iris is blooming right now, so it's just a really pretty yellow iris, sadly. Yeah, and that's what we've got going on.
Yes. We were told we were gonna get kicked out if we didn't finish quickly.
You know, I forgot to announce that we have some enforcers in seats out here to make sure people don't go over. Our most likely violator of that is speaking next because he goes on and on about fish. Ken, come up here and tell us everything you know about fish and plankton.
What else is there, right? Ken Krantz, Ken Krantz, I'm the fish guy here on the Lake Association Board, and I got 3 things to talk about today to bring you up to speed on. First off, the plankton survey that we started this summer that Samantha mentioned. Secondly, the trout planting that's been going on in Elk Lake. And thirdly, the DNR fish survey that was done last summer here in Elk Lake. We've noticed over the last many years, actually decades, there's been a lot of changes to our water here. First we had the zebra mussels come in, and then they got pretty heavy, and now they're pretty down. The water clarity has changed. The water clarity is actually improved by a lot. The water is much clearer, which is not necessarily a good thing for all the fish and other living things out there. We've seen a decline recently in the fish population, mostly whitefish and brown and rainbow trout. We've also noticed over about the last 3 years now, the giant hex fly, mayfly hatch that occurs right about now has been reduced to quite a bit. We're not seeing as many bugs as we used to. These are the big mayflies that you'll see for the next 2 weeks. And now, of course, we've got quagga mussels, and we also have round gobies, and those were both identified and clearly identified last summer. So that leads us to what should we do? Well, we're thinking we should study the lower end of the food chain a little more here in the lake, and that is the plankton. This is the very, very small, mostly not visible to the naked eye, a lot of microscopic plants and animals that are out there that nobody really sees that are critically important to everything out there that eats them. So we began a project this summer to do that. So, well, how do you do that? Well, it's pretty simple. Just for fun, You take that white net over there and you attach it to a rope and a 2-pound weight, and you let it to the bottom of the lake and pull it back up, and your sample's in the bottom. And so Samantha and I went around this May and did our first sampling. We did 10 locations in total. We did 5 in Elk, we did 3 in Skegemog, and we also did the Torch River up by the Torch River Bridge, and also where it empties out into Skegemog Lake. We plan to do this at 3 different times this summer, spring, summer, and fall, due to the changing water conditions and the mixing of the water. We're going to repeat this probably for the next 2 or 3 years to build a baseline. This has never been done before in our lake, so we really don't know what we're going to get. So again, we're taking samples. We have them analyzed locally here. We have a couple labs locally in our area that will do this analysis for us and provide us results. So hopefully next year I can come back at this time, or perhaps at a short thing meeting with the results of what we're finding. Trout planting. The DNR in this spring again planted 40 more thousand brown trout in the lake. And this is the 4th year of a 6-year plan to do that. So we got 2 more years running. The total that's been put into the lake, including earlier plants since 2018, is almost 300,000 fish, almost all brown trout. Unfortunately, we're not catching them. And this is a problem that we're not sure what the reason is. However, we realize that brown trout fishing in Torch Lake is now improved a lot. So we think they're leaving us. That's about all we know about. And I say we, us folks studying as well as DNR, that's where we're at today. So we'll continue that plan next couple of years to try and figure this out. The last thing I want to mention briefly is the DNR fish survey that was completed last summer. Every summer, the DNR surveys lakes all over Michigan, and what a survey amounts to is several people, several boats, many days, day and night. They go out netting and electroshocking and try and collect a sample of all the fish in a lake to see what's out there. And then they do this all summer, and then in the wintertime they compile and analyze data and produce a report next year. So that was done last year here in Elk Lake. And what I'm here to do is kind of advertise for the next Shore Thing meeting, which is July 27th on a Thursday night right here. We'll have our local DNR biologist, who is Heather Hedinger, come and put on a program and show us what they found. They collected a total of over 5,000 fish of all the species that are out there, and they're all cataloged, and of course they're all released back to the waters. This was done previously, maybe 20 years ago. So we've got some old data to compare to. There's some real, I know a little bit of the data, and there's some real interesting surprises in there about what's out there and what's not out there, and a 27-year-old whitefish, et cetera, et cetera. All kinds of neat things were discovered there. So again, July 27th, at the Shore Thing meeting here, we'll be putting on a full detailed presentation on that. Thanks.
Good on. I'm on the board, George Seafried, Vice President, as well as just a participant and volunteer in some of these efforts. And as I participate in the board events and I listen to some of this reporting back to you, the members, it just is amazing to me, all of the things that we get involved in. We get involved in the public advocacy of different issues, looking out for the quality of our lakes, but also in the science. And so I think that's what makes us a great organization. And it's not possible without your membership and your support that we're able to do those things. So everyone that has talked to you tonight and gave you their feedback, I think is wonderful. I'm going to just tell you a couple of things that we're also, as a board and association, looking to do and have started. One of the things that we're looking at is we have on our Elk-Skegemog and also the Torch River, which is our area, we cover five townships as well as 3 counties. And so to get those governmental units to sort of think together, each of us has our own little backyard that we're worried about, but we all share the lake. You know, what you do on your lake frontage may affect me at the other end of the lake. So we're all neighbors in that sense. So So what we're trying to do is get organization, basically it's the tip of the mitt, based up in Petoskey. They're going to host for us and facilitate a meeting with the townships and representatives of the township supervisors and the planning people, as well as the county. And what we'd like them to talk about is how can we do more to consolidate and look at some similarity of programs for shoreline development, or green belts, and septic systems. Those are the hottest topics, really, that we think as an organization, and the science that you read affects our lake quality, which we're all interested in. So that's one thing. The second thing that we have, ESLA, through to your contributions and membership, have been able to support is the completion of what's called the HEC-RAS, HEC-RAS study of the Elk River chain of lakes. So this report that the Corps of Engineers did started about 2 years ago, and it includes right now completion of the study all the way from the upper regions of the chain of lakes all the way down to the Torch River. They have studied a little bit of the Torch River, Lake-Skegemog, and Elk Lake, but they haven't completed it in the detail that they have done. What this study does, it looks at the hydraulics, the water flow from springs, from the wetlands, from the streams, all the way through the chain of lakes. And if you remember in May of 2020, down in Midland, I think it was called the Edensville Dam, failed, wiped out all kinds of lakefront and people that were enjoying their cottages, etc. Well, part of this study is also looking at when you have these heavy rain events with large hydraulic loads that are applied to our streams and our lakes, there's only so much room for these to expand. The wetlands will expand, the water will go outside of its boundaries, but at some point it just keeps on coming. So this study will tell us about not only how the water flows and also the wetlands, but it'll also tell us a lot about the stability of the Bel Air Dam and the Elk Rapids Dam right over across the street here. So we want to make sure these are stable. We want to make sure that it's safe. We're looking at road culverts, we're looking at bridge crossings, anything with a flow of water. So it's not so much the quality of the water, it's how the water flows. So that'll be a presentation that will be for us at the next, not the next shoreline in July, but in August. Leslie Myers, who's the operator of dams for Antrim County, will be here, and she will give us an update on where the finalization of that study is going to be, the status of it. Hopefully it should be finished in July, but keeping our fingers crossed that it will be, and she'll be able to give us the good results. And then that'll give us a blueprint for what might have to be done in our watershed to protect it from that standpoint, from the hydraulic standpoint, not just the quality of the water.
Thank you, George. As most of you are aware, last year we started a Champions program to build up our Strategic Environmental Fund. And the purpose of that is to try to address the issues that we know about today, the invasive species, and also for the invasive species that are to come in the future. And in thinking about elk and Skegemog, I began to, what is the value of Elk-Skegemog? What are the value of those lakes? And I thought back to when I was at the University of Utah, and I was involved in a study about grizzly bear reintroduction to the Bitterroot Mountains. And it was a costly exercise to reintroduce them, so there wanted to be some establishment of an economic value. And so what they looked at was the consumptive use value, which was going out and hunting grizzly bears. There was the non-consumptive use value, which was going out and looking at grizzly bears. There was the marketing value of grizzly bears, which was the grizzly bear stuffed animals you sold in stores and the grizzly bear pancakes that kids ate at the local restaurant. But the interesting thing was the biggest value was the existence value of grizzly bears and in the Bitterroot Mountains. And the way they established that was by calling around to people throughout the country and doing a survey. And the question was, how much value do you place in knowing that there are grizzly bears in the Bitterroot Mountains? And people who never went to the Bitterroot Mountains, never intended on going, never would go, they placed an amazing value on those grizzly bears. So I thought, well, by analogy, how can we assign a value to Elk-Skegemog lakes. I mean, there's a use value. We know Ken, right? He's a fisherman. No, he's a catch and release, so he doesn't take them. But a lot of guys take the fish out of the lake. There's the boating and the water skiing and the jet skiing, which is a non-consumptive use. Certainly we know the economy here, how much it benefits from Elk-Skegemog lakes. And the most important thing, and again, I think it's the largest value, it's the existence value of Elk-Skegemog lakes. It's that place that it finds in our hearts, and it's an emotional, psychological attachment that we have to the lakes, and that we want to pass on, not just to our own children, but to other children in a generational way. And we want to know that these lakes will be here for generations to come. And so how do we do that? How can we make sure that Elk Lake is going to be here in Skegemog? Well, you can insure your home. I'm sure you do. You can insure your cars. You can insure your boats and your jet skis, your jewelry. But if you call your insurance agent and say, I want to insure the lake here so that it'll always be there, you're not going to get very far. It's not possible. So the only thing that you can do, the only thing that we can do is not to insure, but to ensure. Better? Okay. Ensure that some entity is going to be here and working to preserve and protect those lakes. And that's ESLA. It's not the government, right? We saw that in the lawsuit we just talked about. It's not your neighbor, but it's you and it's ESLA that are going to be doing that. And that is what an ESLA champion does. I mean, paying your dues helps sustain us on a regular basis, but those who step forward with that $5,000 commitment, they are creating a fund that looks forward. And the fact is, there are invasive species in Elk-Skegemog that we don't even know about, that there will be, and it will be more and more common in the coming years, and we have a nice start, but it's only a start on this. In 2022, we had 16 champions or champions in the making. And again, that's a great start, but it's just a start. And so we can't wait until we need the money. That's the worst time to ask for money, is when you need it. We need to do a start now. Now, last year, we were really happily surprised. We were surprised that so many people stepped forward with that $5,000. I was especially surprised when my wife was one of them. To make that $5,000 commitment. And what I'm really asking tonight is for everyone here to think about what value do you place on Elk-Skegemog lakes. And if that happens to be $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000, we'd love to have you let us know tonight. Dean Ginther or myself, you can let us know. And if you don't do it tonight, then think about it in the future. We're happy to hear from you all the time. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. And to all you future champions, thank you.
Speaking of raising money, I want to invite up briefly one of our champions, Bob McCreary, to talk a little bit about the relationship that he leads ESLA's efforts in with our newest and most surprising business supporter. Actually, they're not completely new, but what they did this year, and there's a guy out here in the audience who can tell us a little bit more about it, to help ESLA.
Thank you, Bob. And I will invite John up here. So my name's Bob McCreary. I can't say much more than I guess Bob's already said. I'm part of the rookie class, I guess, of the board members here. I am official tonight though, because I got my badge. So, and I heard a rumor Bob's going to teach me the secret handshake later. So I think I'm going to be in. But when I joined the board, they started talking to Bob about the things I was interested in and what I could do to help. And as we got talking, he realized that I had some pretty good friendships over at the marina. And of course, they're a very important part of our community. And they have a pretty big reason to support our lakes, obviously. It's the reason that the marina's here. So I went to my good friend John Conrad, who's the general manager of the marina, And I said, how can we form a more robust relationship with you folks? And what can we do? And we came up with the idea of having each of the slip holders get a membership because they're on our lakes every day like we are. And he took that to the ownership, to Lou and Susie Cooper, and he got the buy-in on that. And so we now have 100 new members of ESLA. We've asked John to come up here and say a few words about the marina, and we're real proud to have the new and improved marina in town. I think it's something we can all be real proud of, and thanks all for being here.
Thanks, Bob. John Conrad, if I don't know anybody, but appreciate having the opportunity to come in and say hello. And just really proud to be, a part of the organization. When Bob came to me and they were talking about what, they're doing and what they want to do with the organization and the reasons why. And that has, it's dear to my heart growing up on Elk Lake and my family being involved with the ESLA organization over the years and trying to figure out how the marina can give back to the organization to help promote, the waterways and keep everything that, the way we want it. And, looking at all of our tenants that rent space from us, that we rent boats to, or we sell boats to, we service their boats. We looked at it as a way to give back and to help promote the organization. So we're really proud to be a supporter of the marina and, something that we're proud of what we've done. We're trying to grow and get better every single day. We appreciate all your support. We've recently expanded our operation. We've hired more technicians. We've invested in more equipment to service you guys' boats better, shore station service. We do not install, but we service equipment and things of that sort. So we're trying to get better on every level of our business to provide to our community better. And then the fact that we can help ESLA in any way we can. So if it brings me bringing more members or fundraising or opening the dam shop to have events and things of that sort, we're here and welcoming the efforts. So appreciate your time. I'm going to run out of things to say real quick.
Earlier, one of the things that John didn't mention, and I appreciate that he didn't, is something we teased in newsletters or maybe email blasts earlier in the year, which is something that we're still trying to figure out the details of, and that is doing some organized boat tours that Bob McCurry and I and maybe Dean are gonna. It turns out you need to pass a test and have a captain's license but the marina had said that on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, occasionally in summer, that they could loan us one of their pontoons for a few hours. All we had to do was make sure we put gas back in it. That may still come off. We will let you know via email blast, but it's something people get tired of hearing me talk about Glen Lake. Glen Lake is like the lake association that does it better than anybody. And this gets a little bit to financial support too. It's pretty amazing. And what you all have done in the last few years has also been amazing. But I would heartily second what Steve said. It was kind of magical that at that last board meeting. And how it happened was that Dean, Steve was up talking about it, and Dean put him on the spot. Dean had already done this, we found out later. Well, Steve, step up, and guess what happened? I guess I guess Deb had something to do with that too. And as I got talking to more people, I found out that a few other ESLA board members, a former board president was very interested, and in the next several weeks just took off and was amazing. But we're not there in terms of the kind of challenges that we very well may face in the next few years. What George talked about, we're not. There was one point where the former manager of dams for Antrim County was absolutely sure that that the dam here in town was good as gold, that there was no threat that could overwhelm that dam. And then this study was done, and it was like, well, maybe it's a long shot, but you know, he wasn't going to go that far anymore. There are, we just need to be prepared in a big way, and I would ask you to giving to ESLA in a bigger way than you may have, and we appreciate whatever level you're at. It's some hard consideration. Now we go ahead. Anybody have a captain's license?
In order to do these boat tours, we found out they require somebody to drive the boat and have a captain's license. So that's been what's slowing us down to get this moving. Because Bob and I need to go forward.
They have to take a test. They have to take a test.
Yeah, you have to.
Everybody has a captain's license, be willing to drive the boat.
You have to score quite high on that test too. But you are allowed to take it as many times as you need to pass it. So maybe we can learn from our mistakes. I think, unless I missed anybody, we are at the end of the speakers, and I do want to open up for, we've got, I said we'd get you out of here by 7 o'clock. We've got time for some questions, and Norm, you wanted to make some observations.
Thank you, Bob. My name is Norm Velikat. I have been an ESLA member for quite a few years. I'm proud to be an ESLA member. I'm impressed with the work that the organization does. But I think that I can also give a perspective that might be rather unique to this group. I grew up on a local farm here, family that grew cherries in the 1950s and 60s. At age 29, in 1972, that'll give you a chance to figure out my age, with some other men who are younger than myself, I founded Great Lakes Packing Company. It was and still is a cherry processing operating on Quarter Line Road, just 5 miles from here. In 1972, I had never worked in a cherry processing plant. I was not trained in the profession. I had no textbook to go by. But being 29 years old and trained in agricultural economics, the other founders deferred to me to run the company. I did not know how hard it would be. We had jumped into a contest of survival with established cherry processors from downstate and out of state who came to this area to buy cherries. Our local competitors included, bear with me on this list, it's very important, included Silver Mill Frozen Foods at Williamsburg, Pet Incorporated at Frankfurt, Alberta Canning Company, Traverse City Canning Company, Cherry Growers Incorporated, Frigid Foods in Sutton's Bay, Universal Flavors, Stonic Orchards, Putney Farms, Yuba Co-op, Sensiate Foods, Mishi Bay Orchards, Bayview Orchards, Williamsburg Receiving, Graceland Foods, Triple D Orchards, Leelanau Fruit Company, Elk Rapids Packing Company, the precursor to Burnett Foods, and perhaps some that I have overlooked. Of the 24 companies that I have referred to, 20 no longer exist. When a food processor's costs exceed his revenue, he throws in the towel, whether it's by choice or necessity. I do not celebrate the disappearance of all these firms. For the same reason that they are gone, the number of cherry farms in the region have decreased proportionately. I've heard and I agree with the statements about the value of the chain of lakes, the value of the water, the value of the harbor, even the value of grizzly bears in the Bitterroot Mountains. But I have been asked quite frequently recently about Pulsifer Orchards, one of Michigan's premier growers, bulldozing out every fruit tree on the farm. Like processors, farmers are business people. And for the same reason, whether by necessity or choice, when their costs exceed their revenue, they throw in the towel. Now, having, like some other people here who have ancestors that came here in the spring of the year that the Civil War ended, I have deep roots in this community, and I have a great love for all of the natural resources here. And among those that I think have great value are the orchards and the other farms that we have. This organization, among its concerns about the value of the region, I think should share this view. I am not here to defend Burnett Foods. The increasing cost of doing business among processors, whether it be by their choice or someone else's, is a continuation of a trend that will, if it doesn't stop pretty soon, ultimately eliminate food processors and farm production from this region. Every cost that a processor must endure commensurately decreases the ability to buy farm produce. And when a processor cannot pay enough to attract raw product, he fails and his suppliers flounder. After a half century of taking pits out of cherries, I have been discharged, I think honorably, into retirement. And if I may claim the status of an elder statesman, I will conclude my comments by asserting that having farms in the community depends on having robust markets for their produce. I suggest that no one who wrings one hand about the demise of Pulsifer Orchards or the surging cost of groceries should applaud with the other hand about ESLA suing Burnett Foods. Thank you, Bob.
This is a question and answer period. May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Sure, go ahead.
What do you feel about clean water in our lakes as opposed to the continuation of the cherry processing that puts effluent into our clean waters?
I'm not here to defend Burnett Foods.
I was unclear on that. I heard you, I was unclear. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions for anyone who's spoken tonight? Or anything else related to the organization? Wow. I missed one? Go ahead.
I have a plenty of plugs for the Champions program. I'm an 80-year three-generational family up here. We've been investing in this community, and I really, really respect even more of you who live here year-round and are locals. But we who come here from other places in the summer, I mean, we live here. Like, we live for Northern Michigan. And so I love when you all started the Champions program. I know it's a big commitment, but I wasn't mentioned that it's paid over 5 years.
It can be paid over. It can be done all at once over 5 years.
So $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, whatever can be done. It's a relatively small investment and it's so important. I mean, look at what we're looking at here. So I just want to put a plug in for the Champions program. That's it.
One other thing that hasn't been mentioned, Dean has written about this, and there will be an article in the next newsletter explaining some other opportunities. There might be a few of you who are hitting the age of 73 soon or now, that some opportunities become available that have tax benefits to putting gifts from a help me out, Dean, 401k IRA into your long-term planning gift. Yeah. Is there any beer and wine left? Yes, a few. Hurry. With that, I want to, I've got one. Oh, the door prize.
All right, if you pre-registered and RSVP'd, which a lot of you did, but 37 did not, if you can look on either your name tag or your spouse or partner's, there could be a number on there if you pre-registered. At least 5, like she's got a number 50. So I'm using this number generator here that's online, and I'm going to generate let's see if I get this thing to work.
The wheel is spinning.
All right. Does anybody have 49?
49.
That's good beer.
27? 24? Where's Dean? Dean has these beautiful
Yeah.
24?
Smith. My other half really well is
Anybody got 2?
15.
All right.
18.